Good morning, all you fabulous people. We got Worlds Keynote tomorrow. I figured I would go through on some of my hot takes and what to expect for like next set or maybe next two sets roughly on support and everything like that, and kind of go over classes slash talents that I think are underrepresented at the time. At this time, just kind of get this in before the keynote, just so this is a proactive instead of a reactive video. Code JCH gets you a free month of Fyendal's Premium at Fyendal's Collection. Subs, we're at 555, slowly ticking up to 600. Also, reminder, IRA celebration event at your local game store, if they got them, should get a free Rainbow Foil Adult IRA promo for Classic Constructed, which is a new hero. She should be pretty strong in CC, so I'd recommend going out there and trying it. I don't think she will be that expensive for the Rainbow Foil English version, because there's going to be like 16 per LGS, so that's a lot of promos that's going to go out in the world. But so if you don't miss out, don't FOMO into it that they're going to be so expensive. All right, first we're going to start off with Warrior. I think Warrior right now, as me personally, this may be more personal hope, is Warrior is kind of at the wayside. I think over ProQuest season, across all the Warriors, I think we got less than 10 wins. In 6 of those were Bolton. In a lot of regions of the world, I feel like there's pockets of Bolton players. But anyway, they really don't. A lot of them don't really have that much of an identity between Kasai, Dory, and Olympia. They all feel like they kind of do the same thing without too much identity, in my opinion. I think they are struggling across the board. They can't deal with Arcane Barrier or Rune Chance that well. They don't really have enough threat disruption. They just are kind of lacking in a lot of these explosive slash in-game things, and just kind of still have their old attack with 2 weapons or try to swing 1 weapon twice, but most of the current decks disrupt that enough that they can't really do anything about that. So with that being said, I think a lot of the cards are too cheap. Braveforge Bracers at $20 is a pretty big steal in my opinion. Welcome to the Wraith Legendary. Gorgeous card. 2 Battle Worn. They haven't really printed much of that. The Bolton stuff I do think is a little bit higher than it has been, but he's also been doing pretty well. Spirit Arena, $14 for a Rainbow Foil Legendary, in my opinion, is still a really good deal. The Cold Foil, I think, is 15. Oh, the 15 is a steal for a Cold Foil. Great Cold Foil, by the way. Really good card for Bolton. But I wouldn't suspect the Light Warrior and Shadow gets returned till 2026, like James had kind of mentioned in an interview. So I would hold off on Bolton. I doubt he gets much support here in the future. Blade Flurry is $15, really good card. Glistening Steel Blade's the cheapest I've seen it, at $16 basically. This card was a $20 to $30 card basically all day. Warband, cheap. Spoils of War, these have been dirt cheap. This is a $10 card all day. This is used in virtually all the Warriors. Glint the Quicksilver, $2, was a $5 card. Ironside Pride hasn't really found a home that much, outside of maybe Blitz a couple times. But $11 for an EA Majestic is really cheap. Olympia Marvel Blitz, $13 is a steal. Valiant Dinos is the cheapest. I'd be a little bit more cautious on this because it's mainly used for two-handed or one-handed double-wield weapon warrior, which I feel like they might go away with. Grains of Bloodspill is about the cheapest it's been. $45, I think, is a really strong card. It really allows you to do a lot of aggressive stuff. What else we got here? Keep going. Axe support, I think, is pretty cheap. Unsheathed, $8 card. As soon as this card becomes like in a top deck, this card will go crazy. It's an expansion slot card. Iron Song Determination. This is a weapon buff plus dominate. Really good game closer. It blocks 3. $1.50 is a steal. Route for 25 cents is a dirt cheap card. Runner. I've been trying to make a runner build work since this came out. I like all the agility build. It's just not that consistent, but with maybe like two more cards, I think it becomes pretty damn strong. And it's also a Brute overlap. We'll talk about Brute later. I might have to pick up some Rainbow Foil copies of this. Beacon of Victory is a light warrior reaction. If we do get a Dory light warrior, I think this card can see some more play as well. Shift the Tide of Battle, I think, is too cheap. It is used in basically all the... it's basically used in pretty much everything. They buff... warriors buff their stuff or weapons to get go again or on hits. This card's really good. It's a 0 cost block 3, gives you go again, and threatens an agility for next turn. And a lot of people just ignore it and give you the agility anyway. So double go again is pretty strong. Commanding Performance, I think this is a warrior staple for disruption right now. Just doesn't really have that great of a home, and it can be ignored at the moment. Spill Blood, if there's more axes, this is a standalone card, $1. Double Down, it can be used in Warrior and Guardian, so Betsy and Olympia, I think, both of which are kind of lacking at the moment. $6 for a playset seems like a steal. White Border Glint the Quicksilver, $1 is too cheap if you don't care about the border. Chorus of Iron Song, I just don't think is that usable at the moment. Prayer of Bologna could be a good one, 55 cents. I'm surprised this isn't getting used more. Banner out of Protection, but it's just hard. It doesn't really fit into the game plan. Cleave can be really good if more allies / Necromancer or Draconic Illusionist comes back. This is Axe focused though. I would like to see an Axe Warrior, so just wanted to point that out. And last page here. Shatter really hasn't found a home. Twinning Blade EA continues to go down. Nobody's buying any of these. I've seen them as low as 500 privately, and I still haven't seen sales. So just watch out for this. Great card, but not very usable at the moment. And that's kind of Warrior. Next we got Ninja. Hear me out. Zen LL and Blitz. We're waiting on some more information if he's coming back, kind of thing, what they're changing with Blitz. I expect to see that tomorrow. But Katsu and Phi are basically dead. They completely got their legs chopped out from under them. I've seen one Katsu top 8, and it seemed like it was a smaller event. But I just wanted to point out a few cards that are kind of staples that are pretty cheap in my opinion. Mask of Momentum, $47. Threatening on hit draw a card on the 3rd chain link is disgusting, especially over a long game. And if you can get 6 wide, you're basically guaranteeing a card. Tiger Stripe Shuko seems to be a pretty big staple. It blocks 2, as well as it gives you unpreventable damage, which is good into these illusionists, as well as gives you a buff to your lower cost attack or lower attacks. Blazing Yoroi is too cheap for a Marvel, but it's hard to play. I think $20 for a collection piece is pretty good. Winds of Eternity EA is the cheapest I've ever seen. Also very strong card in Katsu. And I think it's even staying play in Zen sometimes. Blue block 3, 0 cost with a good effect is pretty strong. A 0 cost for Kadachi's activator is really good. Ancestral Empowerment, $2 for a +1 draw a card reaction is gross. And it blocks 3, 0 cost. Wax Off is interesting. I've seen this one going up recently. I think people might be cooking on the Zen defensive build. that LSS had kind of hinted at when they first brought Zen out. Phoenix Form EA at $6.50. It's not usable and never really was usable, but if they do more Phoenix Flame interactions, could see play. And it's EA Majestic Rainbow Foil. Hard to find, hard to pull. All of these Ninja cards at like $2 to $1 for a Majestic are too cheap. Spreading Flames, I would kind of point out Draconic Ninja hasn't gotten hardly any support basically since Uprising. Part the Misfail did nothing for Phi, and Phi got Minimalism banned, then Art of War banned, and just Toma Firebrand banned. So I'd watch out for Draconic Ninja especially. I don't think there's much else I want to say here on Ninja. Phoenix Form again. Cyclone Roundhouse is pretty good with all the fridge going around of player's block. Next we got Assassin. Once again, hear me out. I know they just came out a set ago, but Arachne hasn't gotten hardly any support. I think we see kind of a contract focus in the future, and kind of move away from the stealth again. With that being said, I would guess Redback Shroud and kind of Silver Generation, that kind of stuff, would see play again. It really hasn't gotten any since Dynasty / a little bit in Outsiders. It's basically been on the wayside for a long time. Black Tech Whispers at $24 is too cheap. I think the cold foil is like $35. Hold on. $45. I still think that's a pretty good price for a cold foil. Codex of Frailty. This is kind of I would suspect this card gets a reprint, but $75. This is kind of a strong barrier for entry for Assassin and Ranger. We'll talk about Ranger here in a little bit as well. Redback Shroud at $7. The cold foil I think is like $16. That's a steal because there's the EA that's like $140. I think that's overpriced. Shriek Razors at $6 is a steal. Already Dead at $15. When this first came out, this was a $60 card virtually all day. Leave No Witnesses is basically used in every Assassin. $10 too cheap. Surgical Distraction, same way. Codex of Bloodrot is interesting. This one's been spiking. The Rainbow Foil was up to like almost $20. I think this is the second best Codex, and it's just usable. Bloodrot's really good. I'm trying to think what else. The daggers are all pretty cheap. $2, $1. For those, Eradicate at $1 I think is a steal, especially contract focused. The Spell Void new equipment from Rosetta I think is all pretty cheap. Good pickups. You're gonna need Arcane Barrier, and the additional Spell Void is probably better than just running Null Runes, so pick that up. Mask of Perdition, also a pretty good target for picking up. I think that's about it for Assassin. Ice, yes, we got Jarl, but currently there is two elements / archetypes that are being unused even after Rosetta. Ice Wizard and Elemental Ranger, which it was Lightning Ice last time for Lexi. I don't think they could revisit Ice Ranger. I think they're going to be a lot more cautious with Ice Wizard. But these Ice cards are still kind of underappreciated. Yes, some of them spiked off of Jarl, but even Heart of Ice at $35 is still not too bad. Channel Lake is a bit over. It's cheap, but I think it could go up potentially if there's another Ice Hero announced, it used by another segment. And basically all these Ice Majestics, Channel of the Bleak Expanse I think is too cheap. Insidious Chill too cheap. but I would say be extra cautious on these because they are reworking ICE and have said they are reworking ICE into something different. So take this with a grain of salt. Next, we got Ranger. I think Ranger basically hasn't seen any support outside of Outsiders in the Azalea Armory deck. Codex of Frailty, once again, is kind of the thorn in the side. I would guess a reprint. New Horizon is about the cheapest it's ever been. This one, I think the two archetypes here at Ranger that they'd be looking to resurge is like a New Horizon Aggro Ranger and like a what is it called? Aim counter kind of Ranger. A lot of the arrows have aim counters associated with it. It's kind of janky how to get them currently, so it's not really been worth it for a long time. But there's a lot of aim counter synergy here with not too much to go with. New Horizon, 78. Quiver of Abyssal Depths, $6 for Legendary from Outsiders is too cheap. It's more fatigue oriented, but also Rangers use a lot of red arrows and they like to recall them to give them a fighting chance to end the game. So I think it's just a good card. It's being run, so watch out for that. The other thing with Ranger is they've been trying to push Riptide for a long while. He gets basically a card every expansion slot and hasn't really done much with it. So I would watch out for Riptide as well. $9 for Intoxicating Shot. Bright Lights expansion slot card has a lot of room to grow up. Battering Bolt, $8 seems like a pretty good deal. Red in the Ledger did get reprinted in the Azalea Armor deck and it was their specialization, so I would hold off on that one. 3 of a Kind I think is a steal for these. I think even the Rainbow Foil is like $6. Yeah. Okay, maybe a little bit more expensive on the Rainbow Foil, but the first edition normals were up to down to $3 if you got them. Back to the thingy. Come on. Sandscour Great Bow I think is a little bit expensive considering it's not being used that much. Line It Up, pretty good buff. Endless Arrow, $2.50 is a steal. Seek and Destroy I think is a pretty good pickup. Amplifying Arrow, I still think they're going to return to this card. This art is out of place for all the other heroes. Murky Water, $1.50 seems pretty good. All the Riptide Traps, pretty good. Codex of Inertia hasn't seen much play, but it's kind of hard to use when Frailty and Blood Rot are so much better than it. Barbed Undertow I think is a steal on an arrow. Melting Point seems pretty good. Immobilizing Shot, Heat Seeker. Light It Up potentially if you think Alexi return. Trice Shot, being able to shoot 2 arrow or do your bow twice this turn seems pretty strong. 35 cents, hasn't really seen play. It's Everfest Majestic, so watch out for that one maybe too. Seems like a steal. We got Draconic next. I think a lot of people are expecting Volcor to be the next set. And with that, Uprising had Draconic, kind of fire and ice theme. Draconic Illusionist, Draconic Ninja, Ice Wizard. My personal take on this is Draconic Illusionist because we're missing one. Draconic Ninja because basically no support for Fi at all, and maybe even a new one. Then I would guess Ice Wizard, but it'd be completely different from the previous one, and maybe even Ice Ranger to kind of do 2 elements / talents and then have 4 different options to kind of make it a depth thing. But with that being said, Blooded Kai I think is a bit overpriced. It's a red pitched Fable. It doesn't really... that encourages running Draconic cards that are virtually red. I think it's hard to see play. I think most instances it's better to run a red better card or just a blue to try to get the effect out of I've lost my camera. Anyway, we'll just keep going. It doesn't really matter. Tome of Imperial Flame seems like a pretty good, strong card. It is on the watch list, so I would proceed with caution on that. Of it potentially being banned, of even when if there's more Phoenix Flame interactions. Emperor at $3 seems like a steal. Legendary. The dusts, the non-foils, I think are an okay buy. The rainbow foils, I still think are a bit impractical priced-wise. The Marvel Dragons are all pretty high compared to where they were, but I think upon announcement they will go up, and then the market will flood, and then they will probably come back down. Flamescale Furnace, I think even Rainbow Foil is a pretty fair price at that price. The Cold Foil at 83 I think is also pretty fair. Great Draconic card, used in every Draconic hero so far, and I don't know how they print something better unless it's specifically oriented for that hero. Burn the Maul is a pretty good Draconic Illusionist thing. The Rainbow Foil, I think, is definitely the buy here. Uprising, I think, is a great card for Draconic. It's seen play in Phi, and is a 0-cost block 3, and it gives +1s to all your Draconic attacks this turn. So it's pretty strong. Tome of Firebrand I would avoid. It's banned. Spreading Flames, we mentioned that before. And I think that is about it for this Draconic. Last but not least, I think we are going to the Savage Lands sometime this year, whether that be the next set or the following set. Brute has the least amount of legendaries, and by far, I think it's by like 2, maybe 1. What am I missing here? Oh, I'm on page 3. I'll go back to page 1. I think Scabskins is a steal at sub $30. Scowling Fleshbag at $36 is really good. Apex Bonebreaker at $45. All of these are seeing play in virtually all the brutes. Swing Big, sub 20 is really good. Sin Packing, I think, is fair at $16, but probably has room to go up. It's going to be used in basically every brute. Beast Within, $8 seems pretty fair. I think these get up to like $15 to $20 when they're more usable. Runner, as we mentioned before, I think just 1 or 2 more cards, and this card becomes crazy. It was already being used in some niche decks in KO. Cast Bones is currently basically a KO specialization. It's hard to get all the 6s, but if we get some blue 6s, I think this card becomes more and more usable. Right now, Wrecker Romp is the only blue block 3/6 in the game for Brute. Smashing Performance, I would say avoid. There isn't, unless you expect Mechanologists to make a big resurgence. Shadow Realm Horror is disgusting and levied at $3. I think that card's super good. Sand Sketch Plan at 8. Or sorry, that's Rhinar specialization. No Fear, I think under $1 is really good. Splatter Skull at 85 cents is a steal. Reckless Swing at 40 cents is a steal. Tear Limb from Mim, 75 cents is a steal. There's a lot of good cards here. As Talk a Big Game could see play at under $1. Just a lot of good cards here for Brute that are sub basically a couple bucks that I think picking up now would be wise. That will do for me today. Hope you guys have a fantastic week. I'll probably make another video on Friday after the keynote. Hope you guys are having a great time in Osaka. I will try to watch as much of the World Championship as I can. Hope you guys have a great week. Bye.